Hello Libra, welcome to The Modern Spiritualist. My name is Raheem. Today we're going to look at April for you. You can use this for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, or North Node, or any placement that calls your attention, really. And this is set up so if you're watching this, there's messages in here for you regardless. Celtic Cross spread plus a Catalyst energy. I'm using Thoth today for the Celtic Cross and Threads of Fate for your Oracle energy, and we're going to start there. So your catalyst energy is going to ensure that you stay in the highest vibration possible as you move through the month. So if you get stuck in process or you spiral at all, you can kind of return to the catalyst to remind you what you're doing here right now. So we have the Weaver for you. It's in the reverse. And so this is just a reminder that you are the weaver of your own soul. And you come here with a unique soul's purpose in this lifetime. You can't fulfill it in any other lifetime because they have a different soul's purpose. You can only be you. You can only be you right here, right now. And within that, insofar as, what you choose to do with your time here and what you choose to believe, or how you choose to craft, the way that you view reality is entirely up to you. And so this is kind of a reminder of your power, and this is a good month to come into greater connection with that power. And so the only thing from the reversal is that this is an internal energy. You are the weaver of your own soul, of your own self. And there's also a sense of remember where you came from. Remember that, the blood that runs through your veins comes out of a specific bloodline, out of a specific lineage, and there are gifts in that lineage. You are this unique makeup of all of your ancestral DNA, and you're something entirely unique because of the soul that you are, that chose to incarnate in the body that you chose to incarnate in. That is that conglomeration of all of those DNA strands and gifts over time since the beginning, since the first ancestors. And so it's like you contain so much within you, and this is just a reminder that within that you have access to all of it. You have access to all of your gifts, your unique soul gifts, and the gifts that you kind of inherit and synergize via who you are right now. That's what makes you unique. No one can do it but you, and you have so much within yourself. You just need to be able to, I think, believe in yourself. Yeah, that's coming in strong. Make sure that you really do believe in yourself, and you do know what you're capable of, and you're capable of more than you even realize. And so this is a reminder to get inspired, to explore yourself, to give yourself credit where credit is due. The things that have happened in your life that are good, you did that for yourself. And so a reminder of that, of you using your free will to do all that you've already done in this lifetime and will continue to do. It's like getting that divine spark back into your own soul so that you can remind yourself, yes, I'm here for a reason. I'm here with these gifts, and this is what I'm going to do, right? And so maybe you just need to bring that spark back. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? And what do you want to do to that end? Okay, all good questions to ask yourself. I love this symmetry in this spread. It's so Libra to me. It's pretty funny. Okay, moving into the Celtic Cross, we have two energies at the center. We have the Eight of Pentacles and the Queen of Discs. Eight of Discs and the Queen of Discs. I'm going to start with the Eight of Discs. So it seems like you've got a lot on your plate. There's a lot to do this month. It's a really big learning month. It's a really exploratory month. Eight of Pentacles, it's a Virgo energy. It's really about refinement. It's about honing in on certain things and improving on them. Improving on the details, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. And so it's kind of like smoothing out any of the rough edges that you're kind of experiencing right now. What rough edges need to be smoothed out? It could be within you, because we have this Weaver energy. It could also be what's around you, because this is in the upright. So, how is work for you? What can you do to refine it and make it better? How is family life, home and family life for you? What can you do to make it better? How is community life for you and relationship life? What can you do to make it better? Just with the, the caveat, basically, the reminder that this isn't about shame or judgment or what you're not doing correctly. This is about accepting the gifts that you have in this lifetime that's available to you, that, the traits that you have, the skills that you have accumulated in this in this lifetime and previous lifetimes, and giving yourself the authority to manifest that in this life. And so it's not about what you're not doing well, it's about what you can do better because you're capable of it. Does that make sense? So that's this energy. Let's see what the Queen of Discs has to say. And so I feel like you're feeling more connected this month, based on the work you've done in previous months, in terms of your connection to earth energy. That could be the earth itself. That could also just be the pragmatics of your life, your body, things that you really need to get done in the here and now. And so it really does look like, as inspirational and kind of dreamy as the Weaver energy is, you have two cards front and center that are very, very practical. And so I think this really has to do with bringing your highest inspirations, aspirations, etc., down to earth and really grounding it, which is a really big step in your life, because everything that's kind of in the land of pure potential, I mean, of course you see it, you have access to it, but feeling like you can take it upon yourself to really make that real in your life is a really big step into your true power. And so this month is about stepping into that power. What are those aspirations? What is your inspiration? How can you bring it here? How can you bring that spark back into the life, and into the life you're living and the world around you, okay? And into yourself, into your body. Crossing that energy, we have the Prince of Cups. This is a really beautiful energy. I can literally get lost in it. So make sure that you're watering your garden. These are all, this is the dirt, this is the soil, this could even be the plants, the trees, everything that you're growing in your life. I'm just using garden as a metaphor for all of it, really. And so this is about, tilling the soil, repotting the plants, trimming the hedges, all of the kind of like manual labor. This is, are you watering it? Are you nurturing it? Are you loving it? It's not just about maintenance and management and kind of like the landscaping aspects. It's being sensitive and attuned to the needs of your garden. Who needs a little more water today? Who needs less? Who needs more sunlight today? Who needs less? What are the real needs of, the life around you in this garden? And, this doesn't have to be other people in your life necessarily. It can be, especially if you have a family, but it could also just be you. Like what are your needs? What are the needs of the different aspects of yourself? Because we're all multifaceted, right? Which sometimes means there's contradictory needs, or needs fluctuate from day to day. And the way to really meet those needs in a true sense is to really be attuned to how you're really feeling and what's going on around you, and how you're responding to it, and how you're moving with the flow of things. And so it varies from day to day, it varies from moment to moment, and you can kind of get maybe stuck in a routine, right, where you're just doing things by route, and it's just this continuous repetitive thing. It's like following the directions of like, feed the fish once a day, water the plants every other day, and make sure you drink 6 glasses of water, eat 3 times a day. It kind of becomes this regimented thing, which takes the spark right out of things, because it's like, it becomes this thing where you're just going through the motions. And yes, things can be maintained that way, to a certain extent at least, depending on how good, those habitual choices are, depending on how good your lifestyle or routine is, if you're doing it by route like that. But, bringing the love into it, the spark into it, the pure excitement of being in the moment, and the exploration that offers, the wonder that being in the moment really offers, is this ability to communicate. If you're tending the garden, asking the plants themselves, what do you need today? Do you need to be closer to the sun? Do you need to be in direct sunlight? Do you need to be taken inside for a minute? How much water do you need today? Which reminds me, I need to water my snake plant early because she asked. So thank you for that. And so that's what this Prince of Cups energy is like, are you really in tune with the things around you? Are you allowing yourself to be flexible enough to truly meet the needs of each moment from moment to moment, okay? And doing that means listening, being receptive, and really loving the things around you and engaging in a dialogue. And again, this could be about a garden. This could be about other people in your life plus you. This could just be about if you have a work project going on, making sure that you're tending to all of them and that you're in a flow rather than something that's too structured. And will kind of ultimately either you'll lose the spark or you'll lose the momentum because you're not actually doing it. You're just kind of repeating tasks, if that makes sense. So if it's work related, that's what it's about. This could also just be you. Are you getting everything that you need from moment to moment in your day, holistically in your life? Okay. How can you bring that spark back? How can you bring the love back? And be responsive and adaptive to the moment rather than too rigidly structured, I think. Yeah. Deepass affecting the present, we have the Two of Cups. Are you giving too much to others and disregarding your own needs? Because that could be a problem. Now, that could be family related and relationship related and community related. It could also be work related if you're just like pushing yourself too hard, working too hard, and not giving your body the time to adjust or paying attention to your emotional needs. Like I have this pattern where actually it's kind of dissipated, and it rises up occasionally if I do this for whatever reason. But I famously have this pattern of like working for too long in a day and then needing to go to bed early to get up the next morning and do it again. And I love my work, so the spark's in it, but still, there's still this feeling of like, if I put in too many hours and don't give myself enough time to just relax and unwind and be with my own energy, I will end up not being able to sleep. And then I start racking up a sleep debt because, there's parts of me that are begging to be able to just play, to relax, to chill, and need a certain amount of that to feel fulfilled and to balance that out. And if I don't do it, I'll be up all night doing it. So I've just learned that I need to lessen my work hours, otherwise I'm not going to be able to sleep well. And so it's kind of finding those things within yourself. There may be a past pattern that you've either just learned not to see or it's just become route and you just don't think about it, whether or not you're conscious of it, where, are you giving too much in a certain area to either work or other people in your life or projects and not giving enough to yourself? And how can you come back into dynamic balance? And I think it's going to be being able to strike a balance between the things that you do need to do and refine and reposition and whatever, but doing it by way of actually listening, paying attention, and meeting the needs of each moment rather than just trying to set up a structure and just kind of let it carry itself, because there's no life in that. And we're trying to bring life into this and balance your flow. So make sure that you're giving yourself enough, all right? You are the weaver of your reality. You have all of these aspects of yourself within you. Are they being nourished enough, watered enough, right? Are they being nourished enough that they feel like they can come out, right? That's the real question here. In your foundation, we have the Seven of Cups reversed and the Four of Wands. Let's look at the Seven of Cups reversed. So there's a need for settling a little bit. In the upright, with this card in particular, in this deck in particular, the upright can be about stagnation, stagnant water, things that haven't like fully moved through, and just kind of feeling bogged down. In the reversal, I'm actually feeling a much healthier feeling of like sifting out things and then settling into the new energy. So I kind of see it as like, if you're trying to think of a context in which like sifters are used, and I can't. But I guess, if you're trying to sift, if you got like sand in a sifter and you're just trying to drain water or whatever, it's like most of the sand gets kind of stuck in the sifter, and then the water kind of drains down. That's what I'm feeling, like a need to kind of sift through the muck of like what you're keeping and what you're gonna allow to kind of fall through the sifter and stay with you and settle. So I feel a settling, and I think that maybe it's work you've already done because it is in your foundation, which means it's supporting you right now. It seems like you're probably still in process, maybe on the tail end, and so look at what you've already been able to sift out of your life. What have you gotten rid of? What muck do you not need anymore? And has that water settled? Can we continue to sift? Can we continue to introduce new flow, new water needs, nurturing, emotion, inspiration, love? We keep moving new water in, sifting through the old and refreshing and revamping, right? That's kind of what this is getting you to do, is to refresh. It makes me think of like spring cleaning energy, and we're right there in April, right? So, refresh yourself on all levels. It really does feel pretty body related. So I'm getting pulled back to here, like make sure you're sifting out just the things within you that are no longer serving you, right? And refreshing, introducing new flow into your energetic system. But this can work on all levels, like getting rid of stuff in your house, to make room for things that's going to create a better environment for you and better flow. Rearranging things kind of fits into this category. Pruning the garden, basically kind of getting a call back to the Age of Discs. So that's what's being asked of you there. Even setting new boundaries in relationships or walking away from relationships that don't serve you. Those are all good things to do with that energy. And paired with it is the Four of Wands, which is about having a foundation, a firm, holistic foundation that takes care of all of your needs. Are your body's needs being met? Are your emotional needs being met? Are your community needs being met? Relational needs? Are your spiritual needs being met? Are your mental needs being met, right? I mean, usually we focus so much on the mental that it's not. It's so overly curated that that usually what the mind needs is less. but I digress. Still, I mean, that's a need as well. Do you need to meditate more to clear your mind? All those things require being looked at so that you can find the balance that you need and have a really firm foundation of wellness for yourself moving forward. And this is all about getting that inspiration back. What can we revamp, refresh, renew, get rid of to bring that spark back into your life, right? Crowning you this month, we have the Ten of Wands. So this is just a reminder that you're moving away from a really difficult cycle, but you're not out of that cycle yet. You're not out of the water completely, the stagnant water. We're bringing new water into the system and flushing it all out this month, but you're not totally out of the woods yet. And this is really just kind of saying, like, yes, you can do it. You can do it. You're going to get through this. You're going to close out this cycle. You're going to enter a new one where you're just going to feel so much better. And we got to get through this, right? And this being in your crowning position means that this is what you're thinking about. So you may just, get into some moments this month where you'll really need to remind yourself of this Weaver energy, because this is what you're thinking about, and what you're thinking about is how hard things are right now, right? And I think it's just because you may be so weighed down by things you don't need anymore. The Eight of Pentacles, the dark side of the Eight of Pentacles is kind of like the garden being overgrown. It's not being tended and cared for and pruned the way that it needs to. There's no balance in it. And so the Ten of Wands is kind of representing what's overgrown and what you kind of need to just shrug off, right? And I think that's the important thing here too, is that, finding ease in your life, I think the first step to that is like affirming to yourself and believing that, it can be easy, that life can be easy, that you can bring ease into your life. And when you start to just frame your worldview that way, like, no, it can be easy. If I'm in the flow, it's going to be easy. It's too hard right now, which means I'm not in the flow. How do we get in the flow so it can be easy, right? And when you're kind of, the Ten of Wands classically is somebody that's like walking uphill and carrying like all these sticks on his back. It's kind of like carrying this heavy burden, right? And so the Ten of Wands kind of mixed with this Prince of Cups energy is really kind of telling me, just shrug it off. Just shrug your shoulders. Doesn't matter. Does the weight that you're carrying really matter? Do you need it? Or is it just weighing you down? Can you just walk away? Can you just say, doesn't matter, and then just bring new new energy into your life, new inspiration. I think that's going to help you, because Ten of Wands is telling you everything's really hard, and the way to combat that is to just be like, nah, it's going to be easy. I'm going to make it easy. I'm just going to shrug this off, right? So there you go. Okay, now the art card, classically the Temperance in a regular deck. So this is fusing two seemingly opposite energies into one newer energy. I think the easiest metaphor for that is like, making a baby, right? It's like two different energy systems fusing together to create a completely new energy, and it really is completely new. And that's kind of what I was saying at the beginning. It's kind of circling back here, which is good, especially since we have like the snake eating its own tail, the Ouroboros here. Blows my mind. Spirit blows my mind. Yeah, what I was saying about, just kind of you being the mixture of like all this different DNA, right, from these two lineages that, go back and back and back, and then also being the unique soul that you are in this lifetime and fusing with that energy. And so that's why you're uniquely you. Like, yes, all these energies came together, but you're your own thing, right? And so that's kind of what this is saying too, is like the energy that is created, this is alchemy. The energy that is created from these two different energies is an entirely new third energy, right? It's not just the sum of its parts, it's greater than that. It makes something completely unique. And so that's what you're stepping into here. And I really do feel like it's this realization of who you really are and what you're truly capable of, putting that divine spark back into yourself, via kind of parsing out what you need versus what you don't need. Sifting out the old, letting go of the burdens that just aren't yours to bear, right? Introducing new flow into your system, and with that, kind of recognizing that you're not going to get rid of everything, right? You're going to keep some stuff that works for you. You're going to get rid of what you don't want, but then the space that creates, that brings in this new flow, it creates change on all levels of your life, because you're bringing in the new, it fuses with the old that you've decided to keep, and it creates something entirely new. And boom, you just broke a pattern and created something new with your life, right? So this is the invitation here. That's really big. Like, that's really big. If you were to really take this as far as it can go, this is massive transformation. This is breaking huge patterns in your life and seeding something that no one's ever seen before, So the theme here of like recognizing your unique genius, really, really key. It could really create some positive transformation. And I feel like you've been through enough. So I'm not feeling a lot of difficulty. I mean, with transformation can come tower energy. There's no tower energies here. All there is just the indication that you're right at the tail end of a hard cycle where it is the hardest, but I don't feel like it's going to get worse. I feel like it could only get better from here through the utilization of this art energy, okay? So you're in good shape, and if you really lean into this process, you have like potential I can't even put into words. It's that powerful, okay? Your ego this month, we have the Prince of Wands reversed. Oh. So I'm feeling a little freneticism, like this feeling of like I have to get it all done and I have to do it right now. No, you don't, okay? The Prince of Wands upright. Really, really fast, speeding forward, very much like the Chariot energy, very similar, of just kind of like speeding forward and making things happen. Very directional as well, very laser focused. In the reverse, it indicates a lack of that focus and kind of losing control of the reins here. So it kind of feels like you're just like moving around, and there's some freneticism and not a lot of ground underneath you, okay? And that is kind of antithetical to our center cards here that imply a lot of like earthy structural things going on. So let me just feel into that. There's just change happening, and you don't know what to do about it, I think. So I just want to remind you that, transformation is just kind of messy, and it's okay to be in that mess. Anything that you do to kind of ground yourself, come back to earth, tend the garden, take care of the practical, may serve you, but it could also end up bringing you into excess, into that routinized, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this, and now you're not actually in the flow. You're not in the energy that Spirit's trying to get you to move into. And so it's going to be a precarious balance of making sure that you are nourishing yourself by grounding yourself in the right ways, and then not seeking ground in the wrong ways by just being excessively busy. Okay, this is not about being excessively busy. This is about kind of pulling in the reins a little bit, just connecting with the earth as a being. And again, that's this Prince of Cups energy of like, connect with the earth as a being, connect with the things around you as beings, and meet the needs of what it's communicating, rather than just doing what you think you should do, right? So that's I think the energy that's at play here. So if you feel frenetic, pull back, okay? And it's paired with the Three of Swords energy, which means this freneticism is coming out of avoidance. You're avoiding pain. You're avoiding something painful. It may be grief. I think it is. I think it is grief. So whether you've lost someone recently, which could be very, very true, or you're grieving something else, whether it's, you lost somebody a very long time ago, and just didn't really fully deal with the grief. If you're older and confronting your own mortality, that could be grief as well. Or, if you're just grieving something else in your life, whether you moved cities, states, countries, and you're grieving where you used to be, you're grieving an old self, a version of you that you left behind. It's really endless what you could be grieving. Grieving is just, grief is feeling the loss of something, right? And so I think that's starting to push up. And with the, astro stuff we got going on right now, this does not surprise me. Like, just the sky weather, the astro weather, is really kind of pushing wounds to the surface. And so what I feel like is happening is wounding is being pushed to the surface, and it may be confusing you because it's not like it's happening right now. Like, everything that is pushing up is old, and it could be accumulations of energies that you didn't confront at the time that they occurred. So it's like, you have a sad 7-year-old and an angry 5-year-old and a panicked 12-year-old and all these different energies that you've trapped inside you that are trying to bubble up and burst through and get out. And because we have the Seven of Cups here, this sifting energy, keeping what you need, getting rid of what you don't, Ten of Wands energy, carrying this heavy burden, this Three of Swords energy is exactly what you need. It is seeking to burst out of its, prison, carapace, whatever you want to call it, and be free, to free up the energy so that you can bring new flow into your life. The only way for it to get out is for you to move through it and acknowledge, accept, and experience the emotions for what they are. I think they're freaking some of you out because they're old. You're in an air sign. It doesn't make logical sense. And so you're like, let's just put that away because I don't understand it, right? And so then once you're doing that, it's kind of like putting a lid on a jar that's too full, or like trying to slam the lid down on a chest that's too full. It's got to come out. It's got to come out. And this Prince of Wands energy is going to be the result of that if you don't address these emotions as they come up. If you try to stifle, you're gonna get frenetic, you're gonna run off track because that energy is trying to go somewhere and you're trying to restrain it, and that is what is creating that energy. So my recommendation would be, can you flip this over? You have free will. Can you flip this card over? Can you go direct? Can you dive in? Just dive into the emotion, see what it's about, see what it needs, meet those needs, accept that it's there, allow it to move through you so that you actually free up the space and can move on, right? I mean, this month is really just about moving on, so that you can be your full, authentic self and express those gifts in the world, right? I think we all want to feel that spark in life, and I think we all notice it's missing when it's missing and want it back. But I think what happens is a lot of us don't want to actually put in the work to get the spark back because it's painful. And so if that's you, the fear of pain is another thing you might have to confront, or the fear of your emotions not making sense. Your emotions don't have to make sense for them to move through you. Just do physical activity, movement work, just paint, write, do some sort of creative outlet, vent to somebody, talk to a therapist. There's so many things you can do to get this energy out. You just need to do it. And often anticipation is the worst part, okay? But if you can do that, if you can just say, I'm gonna dive in and confront this, you're going to free yourself. Okay, so that's what I would ask of you this month. Just dive in. In your environment this month, we have the Seven of Pentacles reversed. This feels good. This kind of feels like a liftoff as well. It feels like the energy is really, really good, but the mind is getting a little stuck. And that's pretty common with the Seven of Pentacles. So what's happening is things leaving your life to make room for the new. You know, I've said that before in this reading. I think the mental aspect of this, and it's a little sneaky, it's a little tricky, it's a little just, it's weird because I got this freneticism on the one end, and then I have this thing that's kind of depressing my system on the other. So there's a bit of a polarity. This being in your environment means what's happening around you. So it seems almost like there's a stillness or more things exiting than coming in. So, I mean, that could be normal with like a spring cleaning situation. You know what I mean? You're getting rid of stuff. You're not buying everything to replace what you're getting rid of. You're just getting rid of stuff. And some people are uncomfortable with that. Not everyone. So it almost feels like, again, I'm getting a pull to this almost like mortality fear that I felt with the Three of Swords as well, like confronting your own mortality. Because I think that the brain hang up is everything is leaving me, everything's going away. And then kind of the void space is what's freaking you out. And so I just want to remind you that the reason why you're cleaning everything out and getting rid of stuff is to introduce that spark back into your life. And so it's going to be filled again, whatever is left behind. But it's got to be emptied out first, right? You got to like drink your glass of water and then refill your glass of water. You're not just like constantly refilling it. You know what I mean? Like you're emptying it first. And so it's the same thing here. It's like if the mind is hung up on what's leaving you, I feel like you could feel a little bit stuck or like trapped in your mind. So again, I encourage you to ground, to go back into the earth, because that will resolve both feeling kind of listless or dissociated or numb, and it will help with the freneticism that might come up. Okay. There's actually a lot of calm around you, and other people around you may be pruning things, getting rid of things, doing their own work. And so there may also be a sense of like the people around you are moving on and you're having a harder time moving on. Maybe if there was, you know, like a death of some sort, whether it's, you know, family, friends of family, a pet, or something like that. And that's not to freak you out. If it's a death you already know, I'm not giving you information you don't already have. But like if there was a death of some sort, it could be everyone around you is kind of just moving on and you're resistant to moving on. You feel resistant. And so there could just be a feeling of like, everything is happening around me and I'm not participating in it, right? And that kind of pulls me back to the Weaver energy here, of like, you have the power to do whatever you want or need to do. Are you recognizing that in yourself? Because everybody else that's moving on, they did the work that the universe is, you know, giving you the opportunity to do this month. You're really not far behind. Nobody's behind or ahead of the other. Everybody deals with things differently. But if you're coming up against this wall of resistance that you need to confront and everybody else around you is not meeting the same resistance, then just accept that that's where you are. You have this wall of resistance. Other people may not. So what you need to work with is the wall of resistance. You know, that's your task, right? And, you know, just let other people do what they need to do, okay? Hopes and fears this month, we have the Knight of Wands reversed. Very similar to the Prince of Wands, by the way, so some fiery energy in here as well. It's interesting. I really am feeling, it feels like my stomach, like my whole energy system really, but it's kind of my sacral is emphasized. It feels like everything is kind of sinking into the ground. and it doesn't make me feel rooted. It makes me feel hunched over. Kind of like when when a branch on a tree is particularly low hanging and also too heavy. Sometimes the branch kind of falls. It doesn't fall off the tree, but it slopes on itself and kind of sinks into the earth. And that's how I feel. It's not like I'm rooted, but I'm just like hunched or sloped over. Trying to feel more deeply into that. It feels more like my stomach is being grabbed by something and ripped down into the ground, rather than me just cording and rooting to the ground from that place. So it feels really disruptive. Just want to feel deeper into that. Your emotions are being buried. Particularly the sacral area emotions, so things like anger, sexuality, but also joy, ecstasy. Anger, sexuality, joy, ecstasy. And that goes back to the spark thing. Joy, ecstasy, it's about that spark of life. The sacral center is an emotional center, but it's particularly primal emotion. So your relationship with nature, your relationship with yourself as an animal, your body, your nourishment, your sleep, and all the emotions around that affect that. Also has to do with community relationships, but tends to be more about family. Specifically your origin family, not the one you make, not the one you create later in life, but your family of origin, ancestrally, things like that. And the boundaries in relationships. So kind of back to like this give and take thing. So all of those types of emotions are being buried. And they've been buried for so long that you're just afraid to open the lid. So call back to the Three of Swords here. And the Prince of Wands, since these are kind of mirrors to each other. The difference here being Knight of Wands is a more fast-paced energy. And the Prince of Wands is more of an embodiment, whereas this is more action-oriented. And there is this motion. There's this motion of my stomach being pulled into the ground. And so it's almost like you're not giving your emotions a life, the life that they need to have out into the world. They're not supposed to be buried. They're supposed to be expressing out in the world. And sorry, this is just really complicated energy. I'm really trying to feel into it. It's kind of pulling on my spine as well, from mid-back and down, causing a misalignment. Also kind of causing a sideways thing. I mean, it's like a repeat of what I was saying with the Prince of Wands, where things are kind of sidewinding or getting derailed, or like you have no control of the reins. But it's like me being pulled down in weird ways. It's like this top heavy. It's so strange. I've never quite felt it before. But everything's also being compacted, crushed. Like my heart's kind of sinking into my stomach as well. So everything is just being pulled down. Yeah, okay, it's too much ground. It's too much ground. I rarely come across this. But I suppose it's possible. Because what I was saying about the being excessively earthy, where like, with the Eight of Pentacles and Queen of... These are great cards, and they're supporting you for the most part this month. But, they're supporting you as long as you, realize that it's pruning time. It's time to trim things away and strip things away or whatever. That's the earthy energy that's going to be supportive. I'm feeling more of a hoardy type energy, like hoarding things, buried treasure almost, except, you know, the treasure's not supposed to be buried in this instance. Collecting energy, hoarding, trapping. And this is just a long process that's happened since childhood. I mean, we all do this, and to a certain extent, and then there are variances in adulthood of people that live consciously enough to kind of empty all that, and people that continuously trap. It's kind of repressed emotion 101 here, and we all have some repressed emotion from childhood. It's the culture that we live in doesn't let us be who we are, and so we trap it into ourselves. And so I feel the sense of like you kind of burying your real authentic emotions, you burying the spark, essentially, you burying all the gifts, you burying all of the things that make you who you truly are. And it's not like you're doing that right now. It's like you've been doing this. You know, this is a pattern, right? And it's not, you know, 100% either. Obviously, you have some access to some gifts or you wouldn't be able to function in the world. I'm just saying a lot of that spark, a lot of that you've buried. And then what can end up happening is as we try to function in the world, we establish these routines, we get busy. We go, okay, if I do this, 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 and this, my world won't fall apart. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to keep going, right? And that's this Prince of Wands reverse energy. I'm just going to do, right? Instead of really paying attention, opening up to the Prince of Cups energy. Who needs water today? Who can I leave alone today, you know? Kind of creating that dynamic fluid balance of meeting the needs of the moment, meeting the needs of the day, and they're going to vary. And that's, you know, bringing water into the equation. And so with excessive earth, it's this rigid structure that isn't actually helpful. One of my helping spirits was telling me the other day, he was like, Raheem, you need to be a tree. You need to be a tree with your earth energy, because trees, yes, they're sturdy, they're stable, they have deep roots, their trunks are strong, they have structure, but within the trunk, the wood is porous, it's pliable, it's soft wood, because it needs to pull nutrients up and repair damage and things like that. It's not hardened, that's not a cement block, it's organic, it's pliable. And that's earth energy in balance. Okay, so yeah, with this Knight of Wands reversed, I'm feeling all the passion, all the arousal, all the ecstasy, the joy, the divine spark, and even things like anger, which can be very supportive. And anger tells us when our boundaries have been crossed. So when anger has been buried, usually we're giving too much, okay? And so it's like all of that is being buried over by relentless structure and busy, right? Yeah. And so I think the fear here is like, whoops, okay, I got myself into a situation, right? You know, that happens slowly over time. I actually recognized it when I was a teenager. I remember being like a mid to late teenager and going, oh, I have a problem on my hands because I've buried all this, and now I'm certainly not gonna open it because I can't handle that. So let's just keep it buried and let's build structure on top and try to make a life that way, right? And then I'm all up here. And so what's interesting to me is that I was totally aware of what I buried, and I was so afraid that I was like, we'll just keep it there. We'll just keep adding to the overstuffed closet. It's fine. What's the worst that could happen, right? I mean, of course the dam's gonna break. That's what's gonna happen. And so, you know, here, because this is about earth and being buried underneath the earth, I'm getting a call back to the Three of Swords energy, this energy of things being pushed out. So it's got to be pushed out. And because it's your passion, your spark, your sacral, sexual, ecstatic energies, it can be pushed out. You just got to push hard. So the hope here is that you get yourself out of the ground. You know, you've buried yourself, you got to burst out. I instantly think Kill Bill when Beatrix Kiddo punches the wood of the coffin until she breaks free, and then she bursts out of the coffin and out of the earth. That's the potential here. But that's really I'm going to face my fear. I'm going to grit my teeth and do it. And I think that's where all this earth and wand, earth and fire combined energy that you have in this reading is about, is it's having the resolve, the strength, the earthy resolve and strength and muscle, mixed with the fiery motion, passion, drive, motivation, the ability to kind of burst out. And that's very Aries season, it's very April. I would recommend, again, movement work, some sort of outward expression, venting, whatever. If you got to just scream on the top of a mountain, if you got to buy a bunch of plates at the dollar store and break them and throw them, do that. Just get it out. Just burst out. Let it burst out. And I think if you allow it to in a healthy way with a healthy outlet, it's going to feel great. I think maybe the only caution here is if you don't do it consciously, you're probably going to just explode at some point, if not now, then in the future. So this would be a really good month to just say, I'm going to do it now, and release, let it all burst out, and just drop the burden. The burden in this case would just be all the soil that's buried on top of you. Just let it go, right? Cool. Outcome this month, we have the Empress, and we have the Two of Pentacles reversed. The Empress, the perfectly tended garden, abundance, having everything that you need and more, and there being a cycle, a reciprocal flow, which is why you have everything you need, is everything's being recycled. Instead of buried or hoarded or pushed away or whatever, you've got everything working in perfect harmony and motion here. You've got the Ouroboros, right? The snake eating its own tail. This is the reciprocal nature of life eating life and continuing to live, by that consumption. Natural, balanced consumption. Not taking too much, not taking too little. So that's what the outcome promises you. I think as you kind of burst out of this energy and free yourself and introduce flow and spark back into your life, you're able to approach things from a much more balanced place, potential for a lot of increased wisdom via what you learn through this process, and then the ability for that to kind of, that fountain of life to just kind of be able to flow where it flows. Two of Cups, the fountain of life flowing, which does affect the people around you. It waters itself, and by watering itself, it waters everything in the garden. And so, and this is a perfect balance of earth and water as well. The Empress is both earth and water, it's just what is earth and water? What is, springtime with like April showers? What does it bring? It brings life, brings flowers, everything kind of comes out of the woodwork. And so that's this energy. Paired with the Two of Pentacles reversed. Just remind yourself this is a work in progress. As long as you're alive, there's going to be processing to do. That's part of it. What else? And we have another Ouroboros here. We start and end with the snake. This one has the infinity symbol on it. And this is about balance too. This is about internal dynamic balance. Balancing all the energies inside yourself and then allowing life to happen from that place of balance, which automatically ripples into the world. And so then what you receive in return is the energy you're emitting, which by the end of this month is a much greater sense of dynamic balance. And the Empress does imply return on investment. And this is all self-investment. The Weaver reverse. This is all about you, your internal experience, your gifts, your process. And what the Empress direct is saying, that all the internal work that you do to balance yourself, to balance your own energy, to bring flow into your energy field, will multiply via reward both in and outside of you. Like, you're going to feel rewarded within yourself because you're going to feel lighter, you're going to feel more ease, you're going to feel better, you're going to be in balance. You're Libra. That is your soul path, right? And so that's its own reward, right? But on top of that, once you feel better, you start attracting better. And so the things that you bring into your life bear fruit, and you're just going to feel so much better, right? Perception is reality. Change your perception, you change your reality. So that's huge. Yeah. And so again, I just want to remind you as we close out that you are a unique being with a unique genius and unique soul's purpose in this lifetime. All the gifts that you possess are beautiful, but some of them are buried. And all we need to do is get those gifts to burst out of the ground and make themselves known. Okay, so that's what's being offered to you this month. Please leave a comment. Let me know how these are playing out in your life. I'm a Libra North Node, and this is pretty right on for me. Hit like if you like this video. Subscribe if you want to see the next Libra video. Please schedule something with me in the box below if you need help in your process. I can offer a lot about this kind of work. Dynamic balance is like my thing. And otherwise, I will see you in May. I hope you have a great April, and good luck.